versed in this stuff.
Well, that CRZ, had you put an ICE engine in the CRZ, we would have sold the stuffing out of it. A beautiful car,
Yeah.
but the engine itself was it wasn't well received. And again, let's not forget, we've doubled the average fuel economy over the past 20 years for a car, thereby doubling the fuel supply. The cars are cleaner than ever before. And so, we don't have to rush into forcing this on the consumers. I don't think the government should be in charge of consumer demand. I think the consumers should be. And as we make better products, the consumers will naturally gravitate towards them. Better products that are better for the environment, I think that'll accelerate consumer demand for that. But I think forcing the consumers to buy those vehicles by making it more difficult to acquire ICE vehicles, I think that's a mistake.
Dealers have a lot of data, a lot of information that sits in their CRM and their DMS and other systems. And we focus on using technology behind the scenes to help the dealer be a hell of a lot better in effectively communicating with that consumer, whether it's, I'm just looking to buy a car, shopping, to deeper in the sales process and to the purchase process, and then the post-sale service side. And we think about that journey. We say there's a whole bunch of data a dealer has. And how do we help clean that data up? How do we then help the dealer say, you know what? I've got to communicate to the consumers better. So when the consumer's asking for information, actually giving them what they're asking for. Right. And when the consumer is stuck in a certain part of the process, I'm using my data effectively to be able to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, we're going to be able to effectively give you that price and the payment and alternative vehicles when you're shopping for a car, as opposed to just sending you a generic communication.
I knew I had to do, which was do what was familiar to me and try my hand at selling cars. So I did. I did very well at it for a year. It was the number one, and I'm not being braggadocious. It's context. I was the number one salesman at the store right away for the 3 months in, and was the shining star at the dealership. So I got benefits very quickly. I got good money very quickly, and I decided to get surgery to try to repair the shoulder, and then segue my way back into college athletics. Surgery didn't go so well. The doctors kind of, after some time, took pity on the fact that they really didn't do a great job. I didn't get much percentage of my throwing arm back, and I was in a lot of pain. And at that time, opiates were not as highly regulated. Nowadays, everybody knows what they are. Everybody knows about the epidemic that is opiate drugs. But at that time, they were still kind of a novelty thing. You get your tooth pulled, you get a few hydrocodones, yippee-ki-yay. Well, at least it was where I came from.
Just happy to be here.
I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad to meet you because it's a real pleasure. And can you tell us a little bit about your story?
It's a long story.
All right, short and long story.
I was started in a business as a young kid, high school dropout, 20 years old. Made my way up to, before I was 40, to be a managing partner of 2 stores in my hometown. I say in my hometown because that's a proud thing. Normally, some people have to leave to go take an opportunity.
Sure.
And as the pandemic was hitting, my partnership was ended, and I wanted to remain an owner, and I felt it was the will of God, I felt like that's what I wanted to do, and I just stuck to my guns, had faith in God through a pandemic, through a cancer coming back, through a bunch of adversities. Opened up my own used car lot. Now I have 2 used car lots. One of my lots sold 727 cars last year, 62 cars a month. Started from scratch. I had no banks, no inventory, no nothing. I had 14 banks, $1.8 million of inventory, and just, living a dream. It's easy to say now, oh man, he's a successful guy, but there was a lot of dark moments along the way, believing in God, keep pressing forward. And I'm thankful to, be here, and enjoying life.